living room. Come on in. Every week, we discuss topics that are going to affect your life. We discuss current events, nutritional tips, workout tips, beauty tips, motivational tips, and in general, in the living room, we discuss topics that are going to inform you, encourage you, and give you hope and insight from the living room on how to live. So today, we are going to continue our subject of our overall health. We know for the last 2 weeks we had Dr. Wanda Cooper on, and she talked to us about how stress affects your mental health. Well, today I am privileged to have my second son, Christopher Singleton, and he's going to talk to us on how stress affects your physical health. And the reason I had Chris come on is because I went to a nutritional doctor once, and he's a good friend of Christopher's. And while he was giving me some, things that he felt I should do, he said, your son knows more than the average medical doctor. And so, and for us in our family, whenever we need any information, we look it up, but we always talk to Chris to find out what he would suggest. Now, before we go into this program, let me just say this, okay? This program today, how stress affects your physical health, is not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease or health condition. Always consult your doctor or your health provider for any health or medical questions or concerns that you have. So with all that said, let's talk about how stress affects your physical health. Hi. Smile. Okay, so let's just jump straight into this and talk to us in general. How does stress, because we know we're in this stressful time right now. We know with the pandemic, people losing their jobs, people losing relationships, financial concerns, health concerns, grief over people having lost loved ones. All these things are affecting our physical health because of the stress that these situations bring. So just kind of talk to us.
Well, stress is one of the most detrimental things that can happen to our physical body. It's so detrimental that we don't even know it. And by the time we realize what's happening, we still don't know it. But we see the manifestation of stress in many different ways. So one of the main ways stress affects people. Stress provokes a fight or flight syndrome. That is, we're in a certain situation, and we're walking and a dog starts chasing us. All right, immediately, whatever's on our mind, whatever our task of the day might be, it takes a back seat to that particular instance. And our bodies react. So the reaction, there's several reactions, but the one I want to talk about mainly is the cortisol production. So what happens is our bodies produce cortisol in response to stress. Now, that in turn causes a number of physiological reactions in the body to help us cope with that particular stress, to get us through the moment. It's survival first and foremost. Now, without getting too deep into what those physiological processes are, cortisol is the one we need to focus on today.
Okay.
So what happens with cortisol is going to be produced by our adrenal glands. And it's natural, it's normal, it's something that is good. And it's not only in extreme stressful situations, it could be in working out, it could be in response to several different things. But what happens is when we produce too much cortisol, our adrenal glands begin to fatigue. And as they fatigue, then we have a situation where our body is no longer equipped to deal with the cortisol that we are producing. Now, as we're no longer equipped to deal with this cortisol that we're producing, our adrenal glands, being that they're now fatigued, they in turn manifest, that fatigue manifests in a number of physiological conditions. I was once talking to a medical doctor, and the doctor told me that a lot of people that are diagnosed with liver problems, well, they don't actually have liver problems, they have adrenal problems. And once the adrenal problems are fixed, then the liver enzymes come back to normal, and they show up normal on the test, on the liver enzyme test. So what happens is, in terms of stress and cortisol, there's several different things that cause this. So what we'll talk about today is what causes it, what the effects are, and what we can do to minimize that stress load on our body. So we know that cortisol is produced by stress, our bodies produce cortisol through the adrenal glands. Adrenal fatigue, when we constantly live in a stressful state. Stressful states are not meant to be long-term.
Right.
The dog is not supposed to chase you,
Forever.
pretty much all day long.
Right.
It's going to chase you for a couple of minutes, if even that. And then from there, your body is going to return to normal. Your cortisol levels are going to regulate, level out, and you're going to be fine. When this long-term stress continues, and the body is ill-equipped to deal with that, then once again it manifests itself into several different conditions. Blood sugar is one of the main conditions that can be produced by this, and that's because the adrenal glands are going to be regulating that. So since they're regulating your blood sugar and they're fatigued, now your blood sugar is all over the place. So then what happens is, when your blood sugar is all over the place, we see an increase in type 2 diabetes. We see an increase in type 2 diabetes that's brought about by this lack of regulation by the adrenal glands in the body. Not only that, we see a lowering of testosterone amongst males. So a lot of males don't really realize what's happening. Well, they lived in a stressful state for so long, they get to be a certain age. Yes, testosterone is going to start to decrease at a certain age. However, it's not meant to decrease at the levels that it's decreasing in present day when males hit, late 30s, early 40s, and so forth. So that's another manifestation of this adrenal fatigue. Now, one of the main ones, a lot of people don't realize that. They think certain things are normal. It's not normal to have a migraine headache all the time. It's not normal to have chronic fatigue, but chronic fatigue is also one of the main symptoms of this adrenal fatigue. And that's because, once again, the adrenal glands, they're pretty much, imagine the adrenal glands as the motherboard in a computer.
Okay.
And what's happening with the adrenal glands, they pretty much, let's call them the processor, not the motherboard, but the processor.
Okay.
They have to process everything that's going on, pretty much all the responses in your body, all the hormonal regulations and so forth in your body. Well, they come down to your adrenal glands. And if your adrenal glands are not properly working, you'll still function, but you're going to function at a suboptimal level. And functioning at this suboptimal level is bad in and of itself, but then what happens is, what we're going to talk about next, these factors that cause stress, well, they continue. They're present in the individual's life. So what's happening is the person is not only operating suboptimally, but they're continuing to feel a decrease in performance, physical, mental, and so forth. So when it comes to stress, it's really important that we take certain steps to deal with stress. Now, one of the main things that people can do, aside from supplementation that we'll get into in a second, is sleep. We live in a society where sleep is greatly undervalued. Now, when I say sleep, a person might think, well, I need to get my 8 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours. Well, that's part of it. But here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to stress. Well, what people are doing before they go to sleep, all right, they're grabbing their devices.
Okay.
They're watching television. And what's happening is, aside from the mental stimulation that oftentimes programs will cause, there's something much deeper that's happening. All right, your retina in your eye, it's being subjected to blue light. Blue light is going to tell your brain in so many ways that it's broad daylight right now. It's going to interfere with the functioning of your circadian rhythm. Well, your adrenal glands, they're going to regulate your circadian rhythm. So now, if you have a situation where you're telling your brain that left is right and right is left, well, you can't really complain when your body kind of gets out of whack, and that's what's happening right now. So people are getting sleep, but the last thing they're doing, they're staring at their phones, and then they're putting their phone aside. And that's aside. I'm not going to get into the radiation from the phone, but that's something. If you want to look into that, and I'm not talking 5G. I'm just talking about cell phone radiation. All right, what Italian courts ruled. All right.
Okay.
It's detrimental.
So,
but anyways,
the TV also, especially these massive TVs in the room.
Okay, so let me get to that.
Okay.
All right. So now television, but mainly television is bad, but your cell phone is emitting blue light right into your eye. Your retina is processing that blue light. Your brain is thinking that it is broad daylight. It's 12 o'clock noon. And
is it the same like for a tablet?
Yes.
Okay.
And what's happening is you're telling your brain now to switch from 12 noon to 12 midnight in an instant. And we're not designed to do that. So then we have a situation where this adrenal fatigue continues. Now, the reason I said that stress is very detrimental and you don't notice it until you notice it, and then when you notice it, you still don't know what you're noticing, is because the adrenal fatigue, it's rare, it's very severely undiagnosed in the medical community. Normally, that's not what the doctor is going to look at first. There's several different factors they're going to look at first. As a matter of fact, it often takes a specialist or somebody that knows. I was told by a prominent medical doctor that when it comes to adrenal fatigue, it's one of the last diagnoses that a doctor will oftentimes make. And that's because the symptoms are so broad, and it makes sense because, again, your adrenal glands are regulating your entire hormonal process in your physiological state. So you don't notice it. So then here you are treating this, you're treating that. You're treating kidney issues, you're treating migraine headaches, you're treating chronic fatigue. And this is aside from, once again, I'm not going to get into this, but a lot of people feel that they need to drink an artificial stimulant every morning, known as caffeine, which, once again, can give you a false sense of energy, a false sense of well-being for the moment. But your body becomes dependent upon that, and once again, you're further confusing yourself. But that's in and of itself. So what happens is, now you're in a situation where this adrenal fatigue is continuing. Your hormones are out of whack, and you are confused, not knowing what's going on, yet you're continuing to feed this process from the moment you wake up with your caffeine to the moment you go to bed staring at your cell phone, to stressful situations at work, all right, to coming home, watching a television. Your mind, your subconscious doesn't really know the difference, so you're watching an action movie, you might as well be right in the action, because once again, your subconscious is processing all that stimuli as if it's present. So then you see a constant state of decrease in the health of many individuals, and they're left with their hands up. Now, here's the good thing. The good thing is there's hope. There's hope because this process, as easily, as quickly as I just now explained it, can be reversed that quickly. It does take discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to just tell yourself that you're going to just shut your phone off at 8 o'clock, or if that's too hard, you can purchase blue light blocking glasses. They're not prescription. They simply block the blue light. I have some myself. So if I'm going to look at my phone at night or even watch television at night, I'm going to block the blue light. These are scientifically proven to block the blue light. And once again, you actually notice the difference. I noticed the difference because I tried them out, and I noticed the difference. I'm watching television, and I got sleepy. I normally don't get sleepy watching television, but I would get sleepy watching television, and I noticed I had my blue light glasses on. Well, I'm just going to cut the TV off. I'm going to go to sleep. All right. So there's several things you can do that are going to allow you to reverse this process. I would say the first thing, if it's not too hard, it's up to you, but you can choose to not drink your coffee, or you can do that. There's different types. There's mushroom coffee. There's different types of coffee you can drink as well that have similar effect, but they don't have the caffeine stimulant. More importantly, now your job oftentimes not optional. What you do after your job is optional, right? If you choose to work out, that's your decision. But that is going to be very, it's a channel for you to release stress, right? For you to release cortisol as you move. Your lymphatic system moves. And as your lymphatic system moves, which, by the way, your lymphatic system does not have a heart. Your blood circulation has a heart to pump it. The only way your lymphatic system pumps is by movement, all right? Well, with your lymphatic system pumping, it's going to help you filter out, it's going to help your lymphatic system move. It's going to help you
get the garbage out.
It's going to help you filter out things from your from your limbs, toxins and so forth. And what's going to happen is it's also going to help you reduce cortisol levels. Exercise does reduce cortisol levels. That's scientifically proven. And if anybody's looking for a reference, I actually, on the way here, I looked that up on WebMD. I already knew that, but I just want to, have a reference. So WebMD, yes. Exercise.
Can I interrupt you for a second on that lymphatic system? Because there might be some people out there, they're older or they're sick and they can't do as much movement. But I do know that from the studies I've done, that dry skin brushing, so dry skin brushing will also help to move your lymphatic system. It's a special brush. It's not any brush. It's a brush you get from the health food store. You need to go online and get the directions. There's a way you do dry skin brushing. It's not just brushing your skin. And 5 minutes of dry skin brushing is equivalent to 30 minutes of movement. And as Christopher just said, your lymphatic system, it gets rid of the garbage, the toxins, the acids in your body to move them out. And it's very important. And we just learned so much about the blood circulatory system in school, but we did not learn, I learned nothing about the lymphatic system until I really started really doing some research on health. And so continue, Chris, with that.
Right. So the thing is, when it comes to dealing with this, it's important. See, cortisol is not bad. It's bad in overabundance, all right? So if we have a situation where you have an overabundance of cortisol and your body's not able to regulate blood sugar, well then look what most people are doing. They're consuming excess amounts of high fructose corn syrup and sugar. Now, me personally, the only sugar I'm going to eat is going to come from a natural source. That is fruits. And I don't even eat that much fruit. I do eat fruit. Fruit is good, but I'll eat fruit in the morning. But I'm not going to, eat overabundance of fruit either. And the thing about sugar is a lot of individuals, quite frankly, need to grow up. That's the only way I can put that. We're not designed to consume the amount of sugar that we're consuming. When you stop consuming sugar, it loses its allure, it loses its taste, so to speak. If I were to eat something, I go somewhere and they're serving cake, and people say, "Oh, you're so disciplined." It's not even discipline at this point. That's nasty to me, If I were to eat, it's too sweet. It just doesn't register right, with my taste buds. So now, sugar is an entirely separate subject. But talking about stress, sugar will greatly enhance the effects of stress because cortisol levels, overabundance, are already causing chronic inflammation in your body. The sugar on top of that is going to cause more chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation pretty much, some have said it's the source of all disease.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things to where people, wonder, okay, how do I get this process of cancer or diabetes or so forth? They're looking for a magic pill. Well, the reality is the magic pill is not all that magic. It's simply a lifestyle change. And when you make these lifestyle changes, you don't see the results the next day. You might start to feel better literally the next day. But, you start to see dramatic results within 3 to 4 months. And once it becomes a lifestyle after a year, it's, you don't really look back.
Well, and on that, I will say, even as far as the lifestyle changes, things in life are processes. And when you go cold turkey with something many, many times, you are not going to continue that. And I kind of call it like a rubber band. You know, it'll just snap you back. But if you little by little, even in the Word of God, you'll see little by little. God gave the children of Israel the promised land, but he gave it to them little by little, one battle at a time. So for me, I try to stay away from sugar, as you know. I very seldom eat sugar, but on Sunday is my day off. I try to stay away from processed food. I eat almost, if man got to it, I'm really trying to stay away from it. So, but on Sunday, that's my day off. And what I have found is sometimes I do want a piece of dessert. Sometimes I want a piece of sweet potato pie. I want something. But if I really start craving that on Wednesday and I know I can have it on Sunday, well, it gives me a target. I can't have it today, but I'll have it on Sunday. Many, many times, I don't even want that by Sunday. But if I do want it on Sunday, I do eat it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And that is going to appease that taste, because what you can end up doing, especially if you don't make this a gradual lifestyle change, what you can end up doing is you're trying to eat healthy and you're eating this, you got this craving, okay, for whatever, a cookie, and you're eating this and eating this and eating this, and at the end of the day, you've eaten the whole kitchen cabinet and you still end up eating that cookie. It's better to have, for me, like I said, this is how I have transitioned or processed. Most Sundays, I don't eat anything, any type of dessert. But if I do want to, that's the day I'm going to do it. And so then we're talking about just staying away from sugar. And so, but go on and finish on the cortisol and what we can do.
All right, so the cortisol levels being constantly called upon, that is your adrenal glands constantly producing cortisol during stressful situations. Over time, they become fatigued, and at that point, they're no longer producing enough cortisol. All right, cortisol, once again, it's not bad. It's necessary. It's good. It's, once again, the overabundance via the overproduction of cortisol that is not good. So what you want to do is you want to take supplements that are going to not only help repair, but feed your adrenal glands. The absolute main supplements, well, the main one I'm going to say, if I had to choose one, it would be ashwagandha. That is ASHWAGHANDA, ashwagandha.
Okay, I would get some of that.
Ashwagandha is one of the absolute best supplements you can take to regulate your hormonal process. That is not just for your adrenal glands, but once again, since everything is going to be centered there, people can take it actually for testosterone problems, for estrogen overproduction, and so forth. It's a lot of different benefits, but in this case, we're talking about stress. So ashwagandha is something I take pretty much every day. And since I've been taking it, I've noticed a dramatic difference. People will notice the effect it has on their sleep. If you find that you're in an insomnia type situation, ashwagandha is something that's really going to help you. Now,
I almost want to hit you that you never told me about this. I mean, I'm serious. You know how hard it is for me to get to sleep. Go on.
So sleep itself, scientists are still studying sleep to figure out what happens with the body in sleep. If you're not sleeping, that is one of the worst things. There's two bad things. I mean, there's a lot of bad things, but I mean, the absolute worst things that I've been told in interviewing several doctors, sleep and constipation.
And lack of water.
Well, lack of water, yes. Lack of water, yes. But once again, lack of water, you can hydrate yourself, pretty quickly.
Okay.
But these two things, they kind of have a cumulative effect that I just now mentioned. And when that effect continues, it kind of leads to a number of processes that have a negative effect on the body. We're talking about sleep in this particular case, chamomile and lobelia. Those are two herbs that are really good for promoting sleep and allowing your body to repair. A lot of what I'm talking about, your body can repair itself just by giving it a chance, that is via adequate sleep. Vitamin D and turmeric are also very good. Turmeric, because it's going to reduce levels of chronic inflammation within the body, which, once again, going back to this process, we know that it's going to be one of the outcomes that is going to be brought about by a process of overstress, adrenal fatigue, low cortisol production, and in terms, your body doesn't have the adequate means to either store or maintain the sugar levels that it needs to. Side note, when you're in a stressful situation, your body wants to make sure it has enough energy to deal with it, all right? How does your body get energy? Well, it gets energy through glucose, sugar. Your body wants to make sure it has enough sugar, all right, to make sure that it can deal with this particular situation. When you're in this situation constantly, then you can just do the math and see where that leads to, all right? And once again, that's why I mentioned earlier, type 2 diabetes being one of the end results of, for many people, not everybody, but many people, of a overstress situation.
So it's almost like a domino effect,
Well,
where your body is wanting more glucose, you then start eating more sugar, which ends up being more detrimental to your health.
yeah, but remember the cortisol as well, because see, the cortisol will regulate all that.
Okay.
But when your adrenal glands are no longer able to produce enough cortisol,
Okay.
then now you have an underproduction of cortisol.
Okay.
And when you have an underproduction of cortisol, that's where these processes lead, because cortisol, once again, it's necessary. You need it. It's adrenaline, so to speak, when you are in a situation and you don't feel anything. You can be in a fight and you don't feel anything. Well, that's because the adrenaline that your body is producing is going to overcompensate for that in the moment. Well, look at cortisol as the same way. It's being overcompensated in the moment, but then that moment ends or it doesn't. Now imagine being in an adrenaline state, 24 hours a day. Well, I mean, that would lead to a whole lot of bad stuff,
Freeway both ways in the morning.
Well, freeway, both ways in the morning, and then, you get to work, you're in a stressful work situation, then you come home, once again, the freeway. Now, I mean, you might be dealing with kids.
Yeah.
If you're not dealing with kids, now you're looking, on the television, you're watching all these things, you're looking at your phone, the blue light is entering your brain, your retina's processing that, thinking it's 12 noon. It's an overall bad situation. You're eating, all right, you're eating something that, probably processed white bread, high fructose corn syrup, you might be frying your food, so you got partially hydrogenated oils that your body's not even used to, that we've only been introduced to over the last, several decades, so your body doesn't even know what to do with it. You're eating meat that's probably filled with antibiotics and hormones and so forth, all right? You may or may not get any fruits or vegetables, so it's just an overall bad situation. And people think that, well, some people will drink some wine with dinner and they'll get the resveratrol. Well, yeah, that is good. But, not the wine, so to speak, but the resveratrol. You don't need wine to get resveratrol. You can take the supplement, all right? Because now you're getting the detrimental effects from the alcohol, which alcohol also is going to stress your body out. It's going to stress your physiological state out as well, and that's going to lead to further adrenal fatigue. So it's an overall bad situation. But once again, there's several things that you can do, like I'm mentioning.
Yeah, give us some hope.
So we know the supplements. We said ashwagandha, we said turmeric, we said vitamin D. If you need to sleep, we know sleep's very important. We said lobelia, we said chamomile. And once again, the ashwagandha is also going to help with that. Vitamin D levels, especially if it's derived from the sun, all right, are also said to dramatically heal the adrenal glands, not only increasing your immunity, which is important because your adrenal glands leading to chronic fatigue, chronic inflammation, your body's going to be more susceptible to attacks from pathogens, disease, and so forth. So it's also going to, aside from that, from increasing your immunity, it's going to help your body and your hormonal process regulate itself. So this is good. From there, exercise, and exercise with a purpose. A lot of people exercise, and unfortunately, it's good, but they're actually stressing themselves out with exercise. they're dreading going to the gym. So they're already putting themselves in a bad situation.
Okay.
All right, that's stressful in and of itself to dread to go to the gym. You're on your way there. You're getting in a depressed state. From there, you're exercising with no purpose. I'm just going to run these 5 miles. Why are you running 5 miles? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but just have a purpose. All right. Do you have a BMI goal? Do you have a
Weight goal?
A weight goal? Do you have just a physical appearance goal? Just a mental goal. Exercise with a purpose. When you exercise with a purpose, now exercise should not be a burden. It no longer becomes a burden, and now it becomes something that you look forward to. Well, that's part of the exercise. It's not just the physiological. It's not just the physical aspect. It's the mental aspect. It's designed to be a outlet. That's why some people dance, and they get the workout, but they dance and they love it, and it's an outlet. You know, some people lift weights, and that's their outlet. But it's important that you exercise with a purpose, and it's not just another burden, because then it's kind of, there are positive effects to it, but there's offsetting negative effects that you don't want to have in that equation, because you're already up against the wall if you're dealing with the process of overstress, adrenal fatigue, low cortisol levels, and chronic inflammation that has manifested itself in several ways that people tend to solve by taking a painkiller. So if you're solving that taking a painkiller, then what happens is, well, I don't need to get into all that. I won't get into all that, but I'll just say that let's just deal with the solution. The solution
give us some solutions, some things that we can do.
Supplements.
Okay, got that. Sleep. I want to ask you about sleep in a few minutes.
Workout, positive mindset.
Okay.
So the Bible talks about meditation. When you meditate, and you allow your body to...
Chris, I'm sorry. Our producers are telling us something. Can you not hear him?
No, we hear him. We just didn't want to interrupt. We have an online question.
Okay, what is
You
it?
mentioned the supplement. I think you were saying ashwagandha. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so one of our online viewers wants you to spell that so they can find it.
Ashwagandha. Let me see. I believe there's an H in there. If there's no H,
We'll post it on the screen too.
yeah.
Okay, and he's looking that up. And so while he's looking that up, Chris, what I would
Yes,
like...
ashwagandha does have an H. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha.
Okay, and you said that's like the number one thing that...
That is one of the number one...
particular issue.
Yes, that is one of the number one supplements you can take.
Can we get that from like Sprouts?
You can get it from Sprouts. You can order it online.
Online Sprouts?
Yes,
Okay.
but this is one of the number one supplements you can take that's going to help your adrenal glands and lower your stress levels.
Okay, so for me, okay, because you're not at...
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, go on. Question two.
Question number 2 from your online viewers. What company is a good company to purchase the ashwagandha from? I heard the company Goli came out with an ashwagandha and vitamin D mix.
I like Gaia. That's Gaia. You can get that. They have a supplement called Jumpstart and Nightly Restore. So you'll take 2 Jumpstart capsules in the morning, first thing in the morning when you wake up, and you'll take 2 of the Nightly Restore right before you go to bed. Now, the Jumpstart is designed only to take maybe about 3 months. Granted, you're doing all the other stuff we're talking about. That's more than enough time for your body to repair itself. The Nightly Restore, you can take that continuously. Once 3 months have elapsed, there's another supplement from the same company. It's just more of a concentrated ashwagandha that's not necessarily designed to wake you up in the morning. It's just designed to maintain good and adequate adrenal health.
So both of these have ashwagandha in it?
Yes.
Okay, so the Jumpstart, the Nightly Restore from Gaia. I can't wait to go home and order this stuff. Although, can I get that? So Gaia, I can't get that.
You can get it from Sprouts.
I can get that from
yes.
Sprouts,
Yes.
that brand too?
Yes.
Oh, so I can just stop at Sprouts on the way home. Okay, so let's take me so you can You can't diagnose them, but you can diagnose me since I'm your mother. Okay, so a couple things. It takes a lot for me to go to sleep, and I kind of listen to sermons or music on my phone at night, but I do have one of these safe sleep things on my phone. Okay, I forgot all about that subconscious thing, that if you're watching something on TV and it's like exciting, your brain feels like you're there. So I forgot all that. Okay, anyhow, so I do sleep. I'm sleeping way better since the supplements since you told me to take that vitamin D, and the what's the liver one? Glutathione.
Yes.
Okay, so I take those two. I need to formulate a question here. Okay. The last couple of days, the last few weeks, I've been under I just have a grip of stuff that I'm doing. And the last 2 days, I've just been tired. I mean, all day, every day. I say like the last week, I'm just tired. But yesterday and today, I'm like, I need to see what's going on. And I was attaching it to maybe something with the liver, because I know the liver has to process everything. So all that to say, how do you prepare for sleep? Tell me as your mother, what should I not watch TV? Can I watch TV? I know not to do my phone, so I'm not going to do that. I know not to do my tablet now, so I won't do that. And I can do this till 8 o'clock if I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock. Is that the first thing?
So physiologically, your body is designed to sleep at night and be awake during the day.
Okay.
You are essentially interfering with that process by looking at television and your phone and not having blue light glasses,
Okay.
right? Or just not looking at blue light at all. So already right there, I know me personally, I can't sleep. Well, I could if I really wanted to, but I have trouble sleeping during the day.
I don't like that.
Right.
I never sleep during the day.
So again, daylight is when we program daylight. I mean, you can hop on a plane and it's night right now in Asia, but it's daylight here. So daylight is whatever, our bodies react to the outside environment is. Well, if the outside environment happens to be right in front of you, it's your phone, and once again, this blue light is getting into you in your retina, and your retina is perceiving that it's daylight, all right, well, then, yeah, you're going to have trouble sleeping. That's just how the body is designed. So what you can do is you can have anchors, conditioning anchors that you set for yourself, all right? It's similar to a couple of months ago when I came on, and I talked about Pavlov's dogs.
Yeah.
Where he would ring the bell and the dogs would salivate even before they saw food.
Right.
Because that anchor was conditioning their brains to direct their physique or their physical body to act a certain way. You can do the same thing with sleep, all right? You can condition yourself. That can be with music, and I don't mean wild music, I mean music.
Soft piano music is what I like.
You can just type on YouTube and you can type in sleep music, deep sleep music, and there's a lot of...
Does that work? Not just
by
the deep
itself,
sleep music, but they also have those wave things.
Yeah, there's certain frequencies that promote healing. What they did was they grew plants in a room with certain frequencies, and under certain frequencies, the plants grew more robust, quicker, and so forth. And under others, they grew weaker and more frail. I would say not to worry about all that right now. Okay. I would say what you would need to do is anchor yourself to sleep at a certain time, and then be true to that. So you're not getting the blue light. You're not getting the stimuli from the television.
How many hours, though? Because there are people that like to watch TV at night. Okay,
so ideally it would be 2 hours. However, it's whatever works for you. See, once you establish a rhythm for yourself, then if you were to break, that's fine. I mean, anything in moderation is okay. It's just when you train yourself to live a certain way, a certain lifestyle over a certain period of time, that's when it becomes problematic and you're no longer able to maintain. Somebody will say, I'm going to get my sleep right. And then they say, I ruined my sleep last night. Well, no, your sleep was never right if you can ruin it in one day, all right? If your sleep is correct, then you can stay up all night tonight And then your body tomorrow at 7 o'clock, if that's what you're programmed to do, yeah, you're going to be a little tired, but your body is going to be up and about. You might even sleep an hour, but your body's not going to sleep into 2 or 3 tomorrow afternoon if your sleep is correct. So anchoring yourself, okay, that could be light stretching. That could be music, right?
Light stretching before you go to bed?
Stretching, light, very light, very
Okay,
light.
not exercise. Okay.
Yeah, because stretching actually helps your body remove toxins.
Okay.
So it could be light stretching. It could be music. It could be reading. You can read. That's fine. The Bible. There's a lot of things you can do before you go to bed to train yourself that it's time. Now, what's most important is that you stay true to your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is the mechanism inside your body that tells your body that it's time to do what it's time to do at any given hour. That is, it's time to eat. Don't eat your meals at different times. Train your body. This is what time we're going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is what time we're going to work out. This is what time you're going to use a restroom. This is what time we're going to go to bed. Your body's very, very intelligent. Your body's very good at doing what God designed it to do, and that is to adhere to its circadian rhythm. Right? So if you do that, yes, it's a challenge for the first couple of weeks, but if you do that and you train yourself that that's what you're supposed to do, then it becomes second nature, and that's what you're going to do. And that's when, if you break, you're okay.
Okay, so I'm listening to everything you had said. I can't believe how fast yes. Oh, he's telling you when you talk to put your mic to your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've talked about sleep, lack of sleep and constipation being two of the things that everybody needs to work on. I remember I used to do a little bit of teaching on, can't remember what I called it, don't dig your grave with a knife and fork. And I taught this quite a bit. And one of the things that I was talking about, and this is really like a two-part thing, Chris. I need to kind of twist your arm and see if you could come back next week. And if not, we'll have to get you back as soon as possible. But I do remember talking in my teachings about I didn't know the term, the rhythm, but let's just talk for the constipation.
Circadian rhythm.
What is it?
Circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm. So let's just talk for a second, because our time is almost up, on the fact that we live in such a rush world that we don't take the time to get the feces, the crap, out of our bodies. I don't even want to call it crap, because it's not. It's what do you call it? It's the toxic, the waste. We don't take the time often to get the waste out of our body that we need to. So I've told people so many times, take 30 minutes the same time every day, at least that one time. You really should be more than that. But if you can take 30 minutes in the morning, for example, and whether you're doing anything or not, just take a book and just get in the habit of sitting there for that 30 minutes. That will help you with that constipation effort and effect. But if you don't have enough water in your body, that's going to lend to that whole constipation effect anyhow. So
it's true. Very, very true to stay adequately hydrated. There is one thing that I'm going to read really quick. It's something that I pulled off of either WebMD or I'll cite this. So I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure it's WebMD. It talks about the caffeine that a lot of people have trained themselves to drink every morning, which is not natural. I'm fortunate enough to have grown up where my parents decided that they were not going to train me to drink caffeine in the morning to wake myself up, and I'm very glad they did. What it says is caffeine in dietary doses increases both adrenoccorticotropin, ACTH, and cortisol secretion in humans. Caffeine's effect on glucocorticoid regulation therefore has the potential to alter circadian rhythms and to interact with stress reactions. So it's one of those things to where people need to realize, look, if you want to drink some coffee every once in a while, okay, great. You know, a lot of stuff that people are drinking, Starbucks, and we already talked about sugar, but it's dessert in a cup. You know, you're drinking a whole bunch of sugar and caffeine to start your day. Now think about this whole process that I talked about today in terms of the domino effect, how your adrenal glands become stressed, how your body becomes chronically inflamed, and how that leads to disease that in and of itself, you're not going to say, oh, well, you know what? I bet you have kidney failure because, and then go back this whole process. No, you're going to stop at kidney failure. People are going to stop at type 2 diabetes. Oh, well, you know, I just need to watch my sugar. Well, yeah, but you know what? Type 2 diabetes, the fact that it's adult onset should show you something. And when you look at the levels and how it's increased over the last few decades, and you pair that side by side with the diet and with the amount of stress that society has encumbered over that same period of time, you can see that not only is it something that's avoidable, but there are many people and many doctors that will tell you that they've actually seen it reversed in people. But the reversal, once again, is tricky because it's so simple that you think it should be more complicated. No, just take care of yourself. All right, regulate your body, reduce these stress levels, take your supplements as you need to, sleep adequately, hydrate yourself. We talked about vitamin D, turmeric, ashwagandha, chamomile, lobelia. These are things that can really help you get your body back on track. And God made you perfect. He made you as he wanted you. It's us that destroys what God made.
Praise God. Yes.
We have 2 online questions.
Okay, and can you hold up just 1 second, and I'll give it to you. Okay, so I want to say something about the coffee first, and hold those for us just a second, because you were talking about really so many diseases have risen up over the last decades, and maybe one time we can talk about processed food. And so, but let me just say something about the coffee, because so many times we do our 21-day no meat, no sweet. We're just drinking water as our beverage of choice. And so I've had to suggest to people, if you're used to drinking like 5 cups of coffee a day, you cannot go cold turkey. That's not what he's saying. What I have suggested, and like I said, we are not here to diagnose, treat, prevent, cure any disease or health condition. Always consult your health provider for any health or medical questions you have. So let me just give you what I've told some of my friends. When we do this as a staff team or whatever, if you drink like 5 cups of coffee a day, and you want to get off, go down like a quarter of a cup every day. So tomorrow you drank 5 cups today, tomorrow you're drinking 4 cups and 3/4. And then it might be 2 more days before you go 4.5 cups. Everything is a process. But I watched what happens to people when they go cold turkey off of caffeine, off of that morning cup of coffee, and it's just simply not pretty, and you're going to be in pain. And so, what are the questions, Chuck Jr., because we only have like a couple of minutes? To our producer up there, what was the week?
Eric Pritchett asks, is there a standard amount of vitamin D to be taken daily?
And what's the second one in case we can't get to both of them?
Is Crystal Light harmful to drink?
Okay.
Mary Earl asked that.
Okay. Okay, so the first question was what again?
How much vitamin D?
How much vitamin D? Okay.
Now I'm going to read this. Studies have indicated a direct link between vitamin D levels and mental health. Just 1,000 IUs of vitamin D per day can reduce fatigue and feelings of depression and anxiety. So 1,000 IUs would be, according to the studies, once again, this is put off WebMD, that's the amount that you want to take to reduce feelings of anxiety, pretty much reduce stress, yes.
Okay. And then Crystal Light, do we want to say something about that today, or do we want to?
Crystal Light, I'd have to look at the ingredients. I mean, I don't know what's in Crystal Light.
Okay, so we'd have to look at the ingredients for that.
I believe it's a tea.
It's like a lemonade. It's a lemonade, but I don't know what they are sweetening it with. Yeah. So I can't answer that either. Michelle, were you trying to tell me something? My co-producer Michelle is here. Okay, so it is 6. Oh no, that clock is fast. We have 3 minutes. Do you have any final words, Chris? And I want to just tell you, thank you. I'm going to try this, and when you come back, I'll tell you if it worked.
So in terms of what was mentioned about diagnosing and so forth. All right. I remember a great friend of mine, he's a naturopath, he broke this down to me. If a person gives a diagnosis and says, this is what I am recommending that you do in order to solve this condition, therefore you're supposed to reach this amount of optimal health, and you're not a medical professional, especially if you charge, whether you charge or not, but if you charge, that's even worse. That is diagnosing, okay? If you're having a conversation like we're having right now, and you're saying, hey, look, this is what I believe is good. This is what I believe is good. And it's not directed at any one individual, and you're not saying that a person is going to reduce any diagnosed condition, then, you know, we don't really need to worry too much about that. Stress is something that's very simple to reduce. I can't say eliminate, but reduce. And if a person takes the necessary steps to reduce their stress, it is one of the situations where you can see a dramatic transformation over a several-month period to where you would think that you took some sort of magic pill, but you really don't need to do that. You just need to take certain steps and realize that there's a lot of things right now that people do themselves in society that are continually to harm their health. And stress is one of the main mechanisms in which that's transpiring.
Okay, I have one last question for you, because I was reading in one of my health books where people often will say, well, I get 5 hours of sleep a night and I'm fine. And the response to that was, no, you have trained your body to function at 5 hours, but that is not the optimum. Is it different for different people as far as how much sleep we should get? Is that an individual thing in your opinion?
Yes, it is individual. There's no one size fits all for everybody, and it's something that you just have to decide for yourself what's normal. I mean, some people might need 8 or 9, you know, some people might need 6 or 7. I mean, is a person lifting heavy weights and they need a repair? Is a person, you know, running miles? Is a person sedentary in their lifestyle more so? There's a lot of different things that a person needs to consider, and it really just depends on how you feel.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well, we are out of time. This has been really, really good. I need to go back and listen to everything you said because that was really informational. And to me, it's just like a sermon. You can't get everything from one time with a sermon, and you definitely couldn't get everything from here. So okay, go on.
I am going to say this. I looked up the ingredients in Crystal Light, all right? I won't speak it on because we don't have time, but if aspartame is in there, which I'm seeing it is, now, I don't know this. Look at it and see if aspartame is in there, all right? Aspartame has been proven, okay, to be a carcinogen, meaning it causes cancer, all right? So that's just something that you want to do your own research, take a look at. But if aspartame is in there, then I would strongly me personally, I would think twice about drinking it.
All right. Well, you've given us a lot of information. This would be my final word to you all as we get ready to leave First of all, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being so studious on this issue of health. And there's so much that we could not even begin to cover in a day. But I will say this: things are about processes. And in America, we have a tendency to eat and drink what looks good and what tastes good and feels good to us. And as Chris said, at some particular point, we have to grow up and decide how we want to age. We are going to age. The grass withers and the flowers fade. We cannot stop aging, but we can slow down the aging process internal and externally. That's what I'm all about, you know. I teach beauty. But we also, more importantly, way more importantly, we want to slow down the aging processes internally that we have. And so we'll bring Chris back at the next time he lets me know. His schedule is such that Christopher is a real estate developer, and he sells houses. Okay, so if you need a house, you can always call me, and I'll get you in touch with him. Can I ask you if you could come back next week without you looking at your schedule, or do you need to look at your schedule?
I can probably come back next week.
Okay, because I know we have some questions, and this would be a good time for you to send us your questions. Michelle, where do they send their questions to?
Ask Charlotte, the living room with Charlene at gmail.com.
The living room with Charlene at gmail.com. The living room with Charlene at gmail.com. You can send your questions. We'll get them to Chris. Michelle will pick those up. So if you want to join us next week and you have some questions, join us. So you heard it from him. He'll be here next week. Have a good week. We'll see you. Bye from the living room. Thanks, Chris. Okay, we're not out yet. Okay, we are. Okay. Now the set has to go back to digging deeper. Yeah, I'm doing the Bible study tonight. Chris, you can help me real quick though.